we have a few of our amazing honored guests, historians, participants, former employees of the Cotton Club, singers of the Cotton Club, people maintaining the local history sitting before us, Fannie Mae's relatives. Just a huge round of applause to all these incredible, the wealth of knowledge and talent on the stage. It's just an honor. I get to like sit with all of you at once and just bask in. This is kind of cool. I've spent a lot of hours with all of you in the last several months and watching, all of your amazing interviews. And we will be creating, and Erin, my production assistant, who's back there on the camera. Thanks, Erin. Woo! We'll be making some web extras in the next couple of months that really draw from more of the interviews. Everyone here gave an incredible interview. Some were several hours, and so we weren't obviously able to put that on the film, but we're cutting web extras so that we can really dive into more of the history of everything that you guys share with us. So I just kind of want to go down the line, and do you guys want to introduce yourselves? That would be kind of cool. Let's do it.
I'm J.J. Frazier. I sang at the Cotton Club, or performed at the Cotton Club, with Jimmy Jules and the Diamonds, which was the house band from 1971 to 1973.
I'm Esmiol. I was the one crying over there watching this. I actually taught English and a lot of other things on the side at Eagleview Middle School, 8th grade. And the project that started all this 25 years ago really was with students. I was not looking for Fannie Mae for the reason you might think. I was looking for a charismatic African American so that our minority students could have all the leading roles in a play. And I found Steve Antonuccio's first documentary, and as a result, we wrote a play about Fannie Mae Duncan, and then of course, all the kids, and I fell in love with Fannie Mae, and it was really the kids who said, there should be a statue of her. She's amazing, Well, a book came first, that's easier. Statue. If you want to do one, see me. I have just volumes of suggestions. But I hope that everybody will get involved with the project because America is going to find out about this. We have, our man at the New York Times, Dave Phillips, who used to be here but won the Pulitzer, so they snagged him away. And we've already talked to him, so we're going to try to get national publicity so the rest of America can see why Colorado Springs is an amazing place.
And I came here to teach in 1986 and went to the Pikes Peak Library District, went to the Special Collections, met a lady named Ree Mobley, who you saw in the earliest film interviews with Fannie Mae in clips, and said to her, I'm trying to develop my class in Colorado history. I can't find Black history in any of the Colorado or Colorado Springs history books. And she said, first thing I need to do is show you a film. And it was Fannie Mae. Yet all that filming has not taken her to the level that this does. And so one of the things I want to do is thank Kate Perdoni for one of the best edited and produced documentaries I've ever seen. Honor could there be to someone who's been admiring Fannie Mae Duncan as much as I have as a historian for 32 years? What greater honor than to just appear in a film with her? Thank you so much, Kate.
My name is Claudean Bragg, and I am Fannie Mae's niece. My father was her brother. And I'm just overwhelmed. I have met so many people that people who had come to my home to do work, and we were talking about it, Fannie, and he told me how his father took him down to the Cotton Club when he was very, very young, and how he always remembered how kind she was to him. And I'm still working at the Broadmoor World Arena, and I met a security guard, and he was telling me how he met Aunt Fannie. So it just really feels really good. I would really like to thank Kay for what she has done. It means a lot to our family.
My name is James Bragg. I'm the younger generation up here. I came on the scene in the late 48, and I'm just proud of Fannie Mae. When we were introduced to Fannie Mae as children, she told us to call her auntie. So most of the kids that were in the family all grew up calling Fannie Mae Aunt Fannie. I'm her second cousin. My dad, father was her father's brother. So say that to be what it is. But I'm so proud to have this woman in my life. She's been an inspiration to me, my children, to every member in my family. To see this and have you here today and to share this, Kate and her work is incredible. And I'm so proud of all of it. And I thank you all. I thank you. Most
My name is Candice McKnight. I'm the president and CEO of the African American and Historical and Genealogical Society here in Colorado Springs. And it was so nice for Kate to actually come to me and contact me and ask me just to take her around the old neighborhood that I happened to grow up in as third generation native. And I was more than proud to do that. Thank you, Kate. I really appreciate you for doing that. And Kate, you for standing up and saying, yes, I got to do this. It has to happen. You said it and you meant it and you did it. Thank you. And my dear, dear friend, Kathy Sturdevant. Kathy, I hadn't seen you in years. It was just an honor and a privilege to see you. It actually was, because you love history all the way around. We could go all day long. Yeah, hours. And Claudean, I hate to call you that. I should say Miss Claudean, because I remember your children, you know, growing up and going to school with Luke and everything. You know, I remember that. Yes, that's a long time ago. I'm talking about the 60s. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And James, I hadn't seen you in a lot of years. And it's been good to see you and talking to you. And I just point at you every time I see you, because I know you're saying, oh, her hair's different again. Well, Kate, I don't want to take the spotlight. And once again, thank you so much.
I just can't express enough like how cool it is that I get to spend time with these people. Like, this is amazing. I get to live in history and share it with the world, and like, thank you guys for enriching my life. Like, you have no idea. This project has been the most amazing project I have ever gotten to be a part of, and thank you. Thank you. And I just want to take a quick minute to thank Steve Antonuccio, who was one of the producers with Free Mobley, as was mentioned. Steve was here. Are you still here, Steve? And he may have. There he is. Let's give Steve a giant round of applause. Steve is the one who is responsible for producing the original Fannie Mae Duncan interviews with Les and Fannie Mae that you see here, that you see intertwined into my documentary. So because of Steve, he captured Fannie Mae on film, and because of that, we get to see her again in this film. So yeah, I just can't thank you enough, Steve, for all the work that you've done. I'm definitely standing on the shoulders of giants here, people who have spent their lives maintaining this incredible history. I just want to give a quick plug, and we'll open up for audience questions in just a sec. So if you guys have some questions, you can come on up and we'll give you the mic and you can ask anybody here your questions. But I want to say, Candice, you can go visit her at the Westside Community Center. She has a beautiful space with all kinds of amazing history from this region. African American culture, history, legacy, hundreds of books, DVDs, music. There are displays that she has. She and Sarah, her counterpart, who's also here, have meticulously curated and researched, and any one of you can stop by there. They have a website, you can email her, you can check out this museum. It is so worth many, many visits. They also organize all kinds of cool events in the community that my son and I have been able to go to. We went to a dance a few months ago. That was like so much fun. But yeah, please utilize these resources. And also we have Pikes Peak Community College represented. Kathy is the history professor there. Obviously Kay has spent many, many years collecting Fannie Mae stories, writing a book. Everybody who is sitting here has done so much work, and I just want to acknowledge all of you for doing that and continuing that in our community. All right, who's got a question? I know you guys have questions. No questions? Do you have a question? Well, I'll ask a question. So you guys know what was contained in each of your interviews, and you know the nuance that was unable to make it into this hour-long film, and you understand why I needed an hour instead of a half an hour, but it could easily be a mini-series. I mean, this should be, HBO should do something, like make the Fannie Mae story, but just knowing what you guys know and having lived with Fannie Mae, experienced her, what are some of the things, your favorite stories that didn't make it into the film? Or recollections, memories. Yeah, go ahead, James.
I don't know if I can remember all of this, because I was quite, but the passion and the song.
Can you guys hear James? Can you hear James? I'm gonna hold it right up to you.
I can remember this as a young man. I grew up on 728 North Spruce, and back when Fannie Mae wanted to move the building that she has for her mansion, she ran into problems with the police department, them stopping her and making sure that she had all the correct permits. And I can remember this big, huge mansion sitting in the middle of the street for weeks on end. I think it was on North Nevada and Willamette. Whenever they gave her a bad time, she just parked it and left it. And so here it's sat. And then she go move it another quarter of a mile. They started messing with her again. She parked it and left it. Now, if you can imagine, back then, what this did to traffic flow, it wasn't long before that mansion was sitting on that street on Corona over there. I remember that quite well, but I was a young kid, and it was just interesting, and the challenges and some of the challenges that she met, and her grace in trying to get them resolved, and the things that she taught us as youth to respect each other, stand your ground, and love everybody.
Yeah, Janice has a story, JJ.
One of my memories of Fannie Mae Duncan, when I was performing at the Cotton Club, believe it or not, I was only 17. I was still in high school. However, back then, it shows you the sign of the times, it wasn't an issue for me to be there. But I do remember after one of our sets, we had a break, and everybody would get on a small dance floor, and it had anyone who was there during that time, you know, the dance floor was very small and it had bars, so it was enclosed. And then you had the raised bandstand. You remember that? Okay. Anyway, so I'm 17, a young soldier asked me to dance. So I wanted to dance. I mean, most of the time I was on the stage. I wasn't able to get on the dance floor. Well, this particular night I did. And no sooner than I got on the dance floor, I was being yanked off the dance floor by Fannie Mae. And she walked me into her office and she shared with me, a lady does not dance with a gentleman wearing his hat. And she said, you are a lady. And she wanted me to understand the significance of that. Now, all these years later, I still adhere to that. I will not dance with a gentleman who's wearing a hat.
Well, of course, I wrote most of the memories that I had that she told me, but the personal one that always touched me the most was one time she was asked to speak down at the, what used to be the Red Lion, and she did not like public speaking, but people didn't know that because she was very flamboyant and gregarious at the club. So, you know, she kept saying, just, would you answer that, would you answer that? And I could see that people were not real thrilled, you know, they came to hear her. And there was a young black reporter there who came up afterwards and said, I'd like to take Fannie Mae to the Jazz Affair, which was a nightclub at the time, and one of Fannie Mae's bartenders ran it. His name was Charles Collins. And so Fannie Mae said, well, I'll go if Kay goes, which was not the young reporter's idea at all. But at any rate, we went, and when we walked in, I was literally the only white person there, so I was fairly obvious. And there was a lot of murmuring. A lot of it was about Fannie Mae's here, and I'm sure the rest was, who is that woman? And so Mr. Collins was very gentlemanly, from also a very important family. We have a black aristocracy here, and I hope that's what you realize now. A very unique black community, and we should be really excited about it. And I'm hoping more of you will help right now, because you can see we can trace back to people who are gone, but who, like JJ, remember them vividly. And so we can use that. And if we could make everybody welcome, our city motto, and live up to it, this would be a place everybody could come to. But as we were seated at the Jazz Affair, people kind of, you know, relaxed that I was there, and it really excited Fannie Mae was. And it wasn't just to show honor, but it was because we were seated at a table that people started streaming over and kneeling in front of us, and I heard all their stories. And I could not believe that a woman who said, Fannie Mae, thank God for the $5,000 you gave me. When my husband died, I was destitute. I didn't know what we were going to do. That was just one. People came out of the kitchen. People came off the dance floor. All these stories of gratitude, because Fannie Mae did not make an issue of how much she did. She really was truly gracious in the biggest sense of the word. And she would have always done more if she could have. She really did want everything to be here, that she wanted to leave something behind for the city. And thanks to Kate producing something quite equivalent to Ken Burns, in my opinion, because I could watch that documentary more than once, which is really the mark of a good film. We have something here that is bigger than all of us, and that at this point in our history is more important than ever, really, the message. And I'm hoping that message will get out across America, that it's going to be our goal. so people can understand what a joyous thing it is to love one another in the truest sense of word. And that night at that nightclub, no matter what anybody had told me about Fannie Mae, it wouldn't have mattered, because I saw to her soul who she was. Such a good person, such a wonderful person.
I want to share a Black history, Black aristocracy story that just recently occurred to me. You saw the gentleman Charles Guy with the white hair being interviewed in the film. You knew Charles. Okay, yes. And when I was department chair for history early on in my career at Pikes Peak, he was one of several older gentlemen, military background in many cases, who taught history, as you might imagine, for the college. And I was more one of the new history people. I was more the first woman probably doing it. I was doing it from a more modern perspective, and I was sort of being hired to do that. Mr. Guy, which I always called him, was one of the last of a very important breed of historian or history teacher for us, because he lived it. And the students believed in him because he lived it. So frankly, I had to be a little bit of an advocate for him and several others who were great history teachers and who brought it alive for students, but just didn't do it by computer, just didn't do it in the modern ways. And most recently, I've been working on the 50th anniversary. This year is the 50th anniversary of Pikes Peak Community College. Yeah. And of course, a community college should have diversity ranking high in its motivations and in its student body. It's been up and down over the years. But one of the things that I discovered when I was doing the 50th anniversary was I rediscovered Charles Guy. And I started to read about him, and then I started to read about Mildred Guy, his wife. Yes, and Charles, he's a math teacher. She was your math teacher. Great, okay. So here's Charles, who was a founding leader of the Urban League, and his wife Mildred, who was a pioneer on city council and on the council or board for Pikes Peak Community College. And these are names long forgotten by most people at the college. It's a long time ago, but there was this period that Fannie Mae was very much a part of, maybe even a creator of a kind of renaissance like in Harlem, for African Americans and their history in this community. And I agree with Kay, and we owe a lot to Kay Esmiol for this, by the way, that it's time that we look at it again and deeper and really appreciate it.
Well, I'm more like Aunt Fannie. I don't like to public speak. But I was born and raised here, and I left here in 1965, and I was gone for 15 years. When I came back, that was the most special time that I got to spend with Aunt Fannie, because she didn't have the club anymore. She was at home and she looked sad, but I got to spend every day with her because she took care of my youngest daughter when she got out of school, and I was working at Fort Carson. So I got to spend a lot of time with her then. And Aunt Selena was sick with cancer, and she was living in Denver with Seal, who you saw on the video. And so Aunt Fannie would ask me to take her up to Denver. And I'd take off from work and drive her up to Denver. We spent a lot of time, days in the hospital, just sitting up there with Aunt Selena. One thing I can remember about Aunt Fannie that just touches my heart is that she loved her brothers and sisters. And all of them, at one point or another, were able to come here. My dad and a couple of brothers and another aunt, her sisters and brothers, all lived in Los Angeles. But they would come here and stay with her for a while. And she did everything she could do for her family. She loved her family. That's about it.
I want to share this with you, that this is about Fannie Mae. And it's all about Fannie Mae and the grace that she showed, the love, the kindness that she showed. But I want you to remember one thing. In the beginning of this, they talked about her sister Frances. Frances was the eldest. She was the first one brought here to Colorado. And I can remember sitting with Frances and Fannie Mae and talking. And Frances would tell us, she would say, I'm going to take care of all of you. I'm going to take care of all of you. And I want you to know that all Fannie Mae's sisters, brother, and Fannie Mae had passed. And Frances was the last one to leave here. And she was a great woman as well, because she spread the love. She inspired what we're experiencing today along that journey.
And yes, JJ, you can still sing too. Yes, indeed. I was wondering if you two here remembered that white big brick wall on the Corona side of her house. It was a big old white brick wall, and it came down as stairs did. Okay, you remember that white brick wall? Us as kids, we used to get up on that white brick wall and run and jump down, and run and jump down. And she would say, Candy, you're gonna fall down here and you're gonna hurt yourself. And I used to look at her and say, I'm a big girl now. I'm a big girl now, Miss Duncan. I'm a big girl. I do remember saying that to her. And I didn't fall down. And I didn't fall down and hurt myself. Thank you, God, on that brick wall.
Just one last thing I want to add to what everybody has said, and definitely your comment about Frances is well taken. There are always those people that sacrifice, and she gave up everything. She gave up school, she gave up her opportunities, but she would never have had it otherwise, and you're right, she was the last to leave. But about Kate, how in the world she managed to literally quilt together so much information. You may think it took a long time. I don't know how she did it so quickly. This was Fannie Mae's 100th year, and we really had hoped we could celebrate with a statue, but I overestimated how long that would take. And Kate stepped in and created this wonderful celebration of Fannie Mae's 100th year. And Kate, that's just the most special thing that you have accomplished for all of us. And especially now, people in this city are happy, and it represents every socioeconomic group, I mean, every race, every gender, everything that she did has come together at a time when a lot of things are falling apart in other places. It's so inspirational, and I don't think there could be a bigger tribute to Fannie Mae than really what you have helped us to preserve and remind us, and we have this chance to relive it and learn from history and do it right and do it as she did. And that includes all the military that I know I was an Air Force wife for 20 years, and you live separately, even though everybody does welcome you, but she welcomed people in a really, really personal way. And I hope that, you know, we'll be able to reflect that. So Kate, I know all of us just, you have a place in our heart forever for doing this. Thank you so much.
And likewise, I have to say, you know, this is the first documentary that I have ever made. I've never made a piece of television that was more than 4 or 5 or 6 minutes. So this is me learning how to create a story and how to do this. And you guys made it very joyful and easy on me. I mean, seriously, for a first project and all of you amazing subjects, like, I could do no wrong. But I have to say, the timing was everything. You know, UK coming to the Public Art Commission, presenting on the sculpture. I'd never heard of Fannie Mae Duncan a year ago. And I said, that sounds interesting. I'm a musician. I want to hear more about this great music scene that occurred in Colorado Springs that I knew nothing of. And you gave me that binder. You said, I can make another copy. And you gave me that binder, that giant binder that I still have, that is dog-eared and underlined and highlighted to smithereens at this point. And it was the pathway, and all of you connected me with other family members, other books, other photos, other resources along the way. And you all led the path for me. And there, I think God was at work. There was something greater at work here, because the timing of all of this, and then for me, you know, being asked to produce my first documentary by my employer, a few months after you happened to give me this binder where this story is sitting in the back of my mind, you know, and then honestly, I feel the story took on a life of its own. When I would sit down to work and be in the zone, like, it didn't ever feel like work for me. It was always a joy. And then watching it today when we were test running it to make sure it would work, I looked at that and thought, I made that, and I don't even know how. But it's because of all of you and the strength that you've all given me, and your emails and your words, and your, you know, taking a stand for maintaining this history, each and every one of you, and those who are in the film and not and couldn't make it tonight. And so this is, you guys are incredible. I am the lucky one in the conduit, but you guys are the real creators here. Thank you. Do you have any last comments from the audience, or any questions that anybody wants to bring forward? Ooh, come on up. Yeah, now we got some hands. Yeah, or you can just shout it and I can repeat it either way. Susan.
So I think this is probably more a question for you. Pretend like this is the Cotton Club, and would you walk us through what we're doing, what you're doing, what we're seeing, what's going on, the music, the food? Just set the stage for us and tell us what it's like.
I had never performed publicly before. The house band leader, Jimmy Jules, he was responsible for several musicians in the community to come up. I'm going to throw out some names. I don't know if anyone is going to remember, but we had Jimmy Jules, we had Lil Andre, we had Lyle Boo Boy Byron, we had Mickey White, we had Horace Butler, Wayne Ferris, Romala Stewart. Is anyone remembering these names? These Randy Bowen, we had Ricky and Ronnie Flores. I mean, these are musicians that came through the Cotton Club, and I was just fortunate to be a part of that. They took me and they beat up on me and all of that. In fact, I feel bad because we had left to go on the road right before the Cotton Club was torn down, and we were performing with major R&B artists all over the United States, and we weren't able to be here. But my experience was, I took so much away from it. I was young, but look what the opportunity presented for me. I can just share with you her influence on me. Not only did Charles and Margie Collins go on to own the Jazz Affair, but I went on and owned 2 nightclubs as well, just following her lead. She motivated us to go into the nightclub business, and we all were very successful at it. So I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed the people we came across. We have established some wonderful memories, and I'll never forget it. It was a major part of my life at that time. So important that I missed my high school graduation just to go on the road with Jimmy Jules and the Diamonds. And that was 10 band members and me in some beat up old cars, and our first stop was Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and then we went south to New Orleans and went all the way through the Chitlin Circuit. It was great.
And JJ was, she's so humble. So the Cotton Club was closing, and so Jimmy Jules and JJ no longer had that weekly gig, which is why they hit the road and were not present for the Cotton Club being torn down. JJ went on to be represented by Otis Redding's wife's management company, and didn't you work for her for a bit when you were not on the road?
It was, yeah, and Jimmy Jules is still alive, by the way. He's in New Orleans, Louisiana, still performing, still writing music. But yes, I was represented by the Zelma Redding booking agency out of Macon, Georgia. She, as Otis Redding's widow, and his brother Rogers Redding ran that booking agency. It was called, at that time, it was called Paragon Booking Agency in Macon, Georgia. And that led up to me performing with, I don't know if you remember Clarence Carter, the #1 seller, Patches, Slip Away, that. It just exposed us to a lot of different artists, and it was a great experience.
Thank you, JJ. You have another question?
Yes, Kate, could you tell us just a little bit more about the statue that we're going to put in front of Pikes Peak Center?
That happens to be Cindy Wall. She's on my committee, just a disclaimer here. I do want you to know about the statue. On the 2nd of September of 2017, we commissioned a world-class artist. She's a Colorado artist, but she grew up in a military family. So she adopted our state, since there's no real one place it's home when you grow up in the military. She lived in Europe for many of her father's tours, so she's been through all the great museums. She's a trained artist. She's won many awards. Her name is Lori Kiplinger Pandy, and part of her contract, which she signed June 20th, was to blog her work. I've never seen any artist blog their work, especially sculptors, from beginning to end. And she assures me that, she said, it's a lot like having somebody look in your windows before you have a party and you've cleaned your house. That was her description of the stress. But she has been blogging everything that she does so that all the students in town and people all across America can boot up kiplingerpandy.com and see the progress. And to make comments, which Shirley Martinez did at length, because she knew all about Fannie Mae, and several other people have also. Well, the first phase, it's 3 phases for this project. It's a $100,000 piece of sculpture that will be in front of the Pikes Peak Center, in the middle of the sidewalk, on your way from Cascade up to the ticket office area. And we have Dick Wilhelm, who's going to do all the acknowledgement of the major donors. And so it's well underway. And on November 14th, we're going to have a big everybody's welcome reception. It's a fundraiser, and Lori will be here for her contract. And she will bring a life-size bust of Fannie Mae, which most artists do not do, but she's a representative, figurative sculptor. And she does historic people. And in this case, a lot of people knew this historic person, so everybody has an opinion and has been offering it, and I have certainly been one of those people. I want her to be a little thinner than she really was and a little younger than we remember her, because I know when people look at statues of women, unlike men, they have all their opinions. So if you complain, well, she was a little heavier than that, great, I don't care. I was her friend, she's going to be a little thinner. And in terms of her age, it's as she first was coming into her power as an entrepreneur when Ed was still alive, and she was really happy. She'll be a little younger than all of you remember, and that's okay too. She's a woman and I am her friend, and she's going to be a little bit younger too. Thank you, ladies. I know you're the ones clapping. At any rate, at this reception, Claudine, we have an inn everywhere, and Claudine, because she works at the World Arena and holds things together, I don't know how they do all those things every week. She has helped us, and we're going to have a big reception in Studio B. And just so you know, the jazz societies in town are planning to work together for the dedication, which will be next summer. We hope maybe we can launch a jazz festival commensurate with Aspen, so that every year there will be a major everybody welcome jazz festival in the city.
Well, I know we could stay here all night and hear these amazing stories, and I hope we get a chance to all convene again and sit around and talk about and invite more questions. You can watch this documentary. Will be airing in 2 parts on Rocky Mountain PBS November 8th and 15th at 7:30 p.m. On November 8th, the show that I host, Arts District, will also be featuring Fannie Mae Duncan's story, as well as a story about the Rossonian in Denver. It's our jazz show that I created, so we've got a lot of really cool Colorado jazz. So Fannie Mae will get 2 spots on Rocky Mountain PBS that night. And then the program is available for free to watch in perpetuity online thereafter. We really encourage people to share it and watch it and view, and it's there for you guys. We're a public media institution and we're here to serve the public. So yeah, and I just want to thank you guys all again for everything. Stick on stage, we're going to take some photos and sign this board, but one more round of applause for these amazing folks. And thank you all so much for sticking around and being here tonight. What an honor. Thank you.